First contact gone wrong. The Imperial survey vessel Eternal Vigilance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Captain Vexthor stretched his crystalline appendages, his iridescent skin reflecting the stark bridge lighting. Another routine survey of another primitive system, or so he thought. Captain, detecting unusual energy signatures from the third planet. First Officer Kalan reported, her sensor stalks twitching with interest. The readings, they don't match any known civilization patterns. Before Vexthor could respond, a vessel appeared seemingly from nowhere. It was smaller than the Eternal Vigilance, with clean lines and an elegant design that spoke of advanced engineering. Most striking was its method of arrival. No hyperspace window, no quantum wake, simply a smooth transition into reality. Impossible, Vexthor whispered. This system wasn't due for spacefaring capability for at least another millennium. The unknown vessel transmitted a greeting in perfect Imperial standard. This is the TES Horizon, representing Earth's Scientific Council. We welcome peaceful contact. Vexthor's crystalline form shimmered with unease. In 15 cycles of service, he had never encountered an unregistered spacefaring species that could speak Imperial standard. His mandate was clear: assess, report, and if necessary, contain any potential threats to Imperial stability. Scan their vessel, he ordered. I want to know everything. The results made no sense. The ship's hull seemed to shift between different material states, somehow both metal and energy simultaneously. Power readings fluctuated wildly, suggesting multiple overlapping drive systems that should have torn the vessel apart. Sir, Kalan's voice wavered. They're scanning us too. But these readings suggest they're accessing systems we haven't even activated. The human vessel transmitted again. Captain Vexthor, we detect your defensive systems charging. We strongly advise against hostile action. We are conducting peaceful research in our home system. The bridge crew froze. They hadn't identified themselves yet. How dare they? Vexthor's voice crackled with indignation. This system falls under Imperial jurisdiction. Your presence here is unauthorized. Power down your systems and prepare for inspection. There was a pause before the response came. We must decline. Earth claims sovereign rights to this system. We have observed Imperial expansion patterns and prefer to establish diplomatic relations as equals. Equals? Vexthor's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained rage. No primitive species spoke to the Empire as equals. This is your final warning. Submit to Imperial authority or face the consequences. Please reconsider your actions. The human ship replied. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Vexthor gave the order. The Eternal Vigilance's main cannon charge, targeting the insolent vessel's power core. No one threatened the Empire with impunity. The beam lanced out and passed straight through the human ship as if it weren't there. Fascinating defensive technology, the human voice commented, now tinged with disappointment. Though rather predictable attack patterns, perhaps we should demonstrate why cooperation would be preferable. Multiple smaller craft suddenly blinked into existence around the Eternal Vigilance, emerging from what looked like tiers in space itself. Each one utilized different and seemingly incompatible technologies, their very existence challenging everything the Empire knew about physics. Impossible, Kalan whispered. Those drive signatures. They're using quantum tunneling, probability manipulation, and dark energy focusing simultaneously. The power requirements alone. Lock weapons on all targets. Vexthor commanded, his pride overwhelming his judgment. Sir, his weapons officer reported, our targeting systems aren't responding. Something is accessing our core computer. The human vessels hadn't fired a single shot, yet the Eternal Vigilance was completely immobilized. Their systems were being rewritten faster than their best cyber defenses could respond. Captain Vexthor, the human voice returned, now emanating from their own bridge speakers. We apologize for this demonstration, but you left us no choice. Your ship's systems are now under our temporary control. We will release them once we can ensure the safety of our research teams." Vexthor's pride shattered like crystal. In all of Imperial history, no species had ever achieved such complete dominance without firing a shot. "What? What are you?" "We are human," came the simple reply. "We have spent centuries preparing for this moment, watching your empire expand, learning from every civilization you encountered. We hoped for a peaceful first contact, but your response confirms our caution was warranted." New holographic displays appeared on the bridge, showing hundreds more human vessels emerging from hidden positions throughout the system. Each one demonstrated technologies that the Empire had deemed theoretically impossible. "Your ship will be returned to Imperial space with a message," the human continued. "Earth is not interested in conquest or submission. We seek diplomatic relations, cultural exchange, and peaceful coexistence. However, we will not bow to threats or intimidation." As the Eternal Vigilance's systems slowly came back online, Vexthor realized with growing dread that this encounter would change the Empire forever. They had stumbled upon not just another civilization, but one that had somehow advanced beyond Imperial understanding while remaining completely hidden. His final report would shake the Empire to its foundations. Humanity wasn't just ready for contact. They had been waiting for it, preparing for it. And most troublingly, they had achieved it entirely on their own terms. As his ship limped back toward Imperial space, Vexthor couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The humans hadn't just demonstrated superior technology. They had shown a mastery of multiple technological paths that the Empire had long thought mutually exclusive. What other impossible achievements were they capable of? And more importantly, what had driven them to develop such overwhelming defensive capabilities while remaining hidden from the galaxy at large? The answer, though he didn't know it yet, would soon threaten not just the Empire, but all of known space. The Hidden Fleet. High Admiral Silura stood before the Imperial Council, her scaled armor reflecting the harsh light of the chamber. The holographic display behind her showed the Eternal Vigilance's encounter with the human vessels, playing on an endless loop like a mockery of Imperial power. "The humans didn't just defeat one of our most advanced survey ships," she declared, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. "They rendered it helpless without firing a single shot. Our initial analysis suggests they possess technology that shouldn't exist, at least not together." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Elder Counselor Vintax raised a gnarled hand for silence. "Explain." Celera gestured, and a hologram shifted to show detailed scans of the human vessels. Their ships utilize multiple theoretical approaches simultaneously. Quantum tunneling drives alongside probability matrices, dark energy manipulation coexisting with zero-point field generators. According to everything we know about physics, these technologies should tear each other apart. "Yet they clearly function," interrupted Counselor Mira, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "How?" "That's not even the most troubling part," Celera continued. "We've detected massive energy signatures throughout their solar system, carefully hidden behind quantum veils. They've been there for years, possibly centuries, watching us expand across the galaxy." New images appeared, showing vast structures orbiting Earth's sun, shipyards that dwarfed anything the Empire had built, and research stations that seemed to bend reality around them. "This isn't a primitive civilization that suddenly achieved spaceflight," Celera concluded. "This is a technological powerhouse that chose to remain hidden until now. The question is, why?" The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Deep space monitoring stations began detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of Imperial space. The humans were moving, their hidden fleet emerging from quantum shadows across multiple sectors simultaneously. Aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Prometheus, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as thousands of ships dropped their concealment fields. Each vessel was unique, a testament to humanity's mastery of multiple technological paths. "All fleet elements reporting ready," her AI assistant reported. The Imperial Response Fleet is mobilizing, but they're still 6 hours from effective interception range. Chen nodded, her expression grim. Begin the demonstration. Across Imperial space, human vessels began appearing and disappearing at will, bypassing defense networks that had stood for millennia. They didn't attack. They simply proved they could reach any target, at any time, without being stopped. Transmit the message, Chen ordered. On every Imperial world, communication systems activated simultaneously. The message was simple. We could have remained hidden. We chose to reveal ourselves because what's coming threatens us all. In the Imperial Palace, the High Council watched in stunned silence as human ships performed maneuvers that defied physics. Vessels phased through solid matter, split into multiple quantum states, and demonstrated mastery over fundamental forces the Empire barely understood. This isn't just about showing off their technology, Celera realized, watching the patterns emerge. They're demonstrating something specific. These aren't random demonstrations. She was right. Each human ship was systematically showcasing a different defensive capability, as if presenting a catalog of technological achievements. But why? The answer came in the form of a direct transmission to the Imperial Council. A holographic figure materialized in the chamber, Admiral Chen herself. Distinguished members of the Imperial Council, she began, her voice carrying both authority and urgency. For centuries, humanity has watched the galaxy's civilizations develop along singular technological paths. The Empire masters quantum mechanics but ignores biological computing. The Centauri perfect dark energy manipulation, but dismiss probability drives. She paused, letting her words sink in. We chose a different path. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, we didn't just prepare for war or peace. We prepared for everything. The hologram shifted to show Earth's solar system, now revealed as a vast fortress of overlapping technologies and defensive systems. Your scout ship's attack centuries ago taught us something valuable. The galaxy is larger and more dangerous than any single approach can handle. New images appeared, showing massive structures at the edge of known space. 3 months ago, your deep space sensors detected something you couldn't understand. We've been tracking it for decades. An entity that devours civilizations, particularly those locked into single technological paradigms. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't hidden out of fear or weakness. They had hidden while preparing defenses not just for themselves, but potentially for all sentient life. We reveal ourselves now, Chen concluded, because the threat is accelerating. The Empire has 2 choices: maintain your pride and face this threat alone, or join us in defending all life in this galaxy. We await your response. As the hologram faded, the Council faced a reality they had never imagined. The Empire wasn't just dealing with a new power. They were facing a civilization that had systematically prepared for every possible threat, including ones the Empire hadn't even detected. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, something ancient and hungry was moving, drawn perhaps by the very light of civilization itself. Imperial reckoning. The Imperial Palace's ancient halls had never felt so silent. For 3 days, the High Council had debated humanity's revelation, their voices echoing off walls that had witnessed 10,000 years of Imperial dominion. Now those same walls seemed to mock their certainties. Grand Admiral Lizara Vex, daughter of an Imperial dynasty stretching back 40 generations, stood before the assembled council. Her silver scales dulled with exhaustion, but her voice remained firm. The humans speak truth, she declared, causing a ripple of unease through the chamber. Our deep space outposts have confirmed their readings. Something massive is moving through subspace, leaving dead systems in its wake. Councillor Mira's crystalline form pulsed with angry light. And we're to trust these humans, they who hid like cowards while building weapons that could threaten our very existence. They didn't build weapons, Lizara corrected, her tone sharp. They built defenses. There's a difference. Our analysis of their demonstrations shows not a single offensive action. Even when they disabled our ships, they did so without causing damage or casualties. The holographic display activated, showing footage from dozens of Imperial vessels. Human ships phasing through supposedly impenetrable shields, bypassing defense networks, demonstrating technological mastery that made the Empire's greatest achievements seem primitive. More importantly, Lizara continued, they're willing to share their advancements. All they ask is cooperation against this greater threat. Share. Elder Vintax scoffed. The Empire does not accept charity from lesser. We are not the superior force here. Lizara interrupted, breaking centuries of protocol. I've reviewed the tactical data personally. The humans could have conquered us at any time in the past century. They chose not to. Instead, they're offering an alliance. A new figure stepped forward. Dr. Karen Jen, the first human representative allowed in the Imperial Palace. The council bristled at her presence, but could not deny the necessity of this meeting. What your deep space sensors detected, Jen began without preamble. We call the convergence. It's a composite entity, growing more powerful with each civilization it absorbs. We've tracked its path across 3 galaxies. The display shifted, showing the movement of something massive yet almost impossible to detect. It specifically targets civilizations that have mastered a single technological path. The more advanced the civilization, the more attractive it becomes as prey. And you expect us to believe humanity alone found a way to resist this threat? Counselor Mira demanded. Zhen's smile was tired but genuine. Not alone. We learned from everyone, including you. Your scout ship's attack centuries ago gave us our first glimpse of quantum technology. The Centauri taught us about dark energy. The Arcturus Collective showed us biological computing. We didn't choose one path. We learned to combine them all. The display showed Earth's solar system, now revealed as a testing ground for integrated technologies that the Empire had long thought incompatible. Your Empire's greatest strength, its technological consistency, is also its greatest vulnerability, Zhen explained. The convergence has consumed 12 civilizations as advanced as yours, each mastering a single technological path. But it's never encountered a civilization that can switch between multiple technological paradigms at will. Lizara stepped forward again. The humans aren't just offering to share their technology. They're offering to teach us how to adapt, how to grow beyond our self-imposed limitations. The council chamber erupted in debate. Centuries of imperial doctrine clashed with the undeniable evidence before them. Their pride demanded they reject this offer, but their duty to protect imperial citizens demanded they consider it. A quiet voice cut through the chaos. First speaker tall, silent until now, rose from the ancient throne. Show us, he commanded. Zhen nodded and activated a small device. The air shimmered, and suddenly the council found themselves seemingly standing in Earth orbit. Around them, vast shipyards constructed vessels that incorporated technologies from a dozen different civilizations. Research stations probed the fundamental forces of the universe, while defense platforms demonstrated the seamless integration of multiple technological approaches. This isn't just about survival, Zhen said softly. It's about evolution. The convergence forces civilizations to specialize, making them easier to predict and consume. We chose to do the opposite, to learn from everyone, to combine the seemingly incompatible, to prove that cooperation is stronger than consumption. First Speaker Tall turned to face the council. For 10,000 years, we have ruled through strength. Perhaps it is time we learn to rule through wisdom instead. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The Empire would accept humanity's offer, not as subordinates, but as partners against a threat greater than either civilization could face alone. As the council dispersed, Lizara approached Zhen privately. You could have conquered us, she stated. Why didn't you? Zhen's response was simple, because the convergence proves what happens when one entity tries to consume all others. We chose a different path. Unity through diversity, strength through cooperation. Besides, she added with a slight smile, the galaxy's going to need the Empire's experience and strength for what's coming. Above them, human and Imperial ships began their first joint maneuvers, testing how their different technologies could work together. The Empire was changing, faster than anyone had thought possible. The question was, would it be fast enough? The common enemy. The Joint Human Imperial Research Station, Synthesis, hung in deep space like a jewel of impossibility. Its quantum arrays, built by Imperial engineers, intertwined seamlessly with human probability engines. Dark energy conduits pulsed alongside biological computing cores, technologies that should have torn each other apart instead working in perfect harmony. Dr. Elena Santos stood before the station's main observation window, watching the impossible data stream across holographic displays. Beside her, Imperial Science Director Kexri's crystalline form shimmered with barely contained excitement. "The readings are clear," Elena announced, her voice tight with concern. "The convergence isn't just consuming civilizations, it's learning from them, adapting their technologies into itself. Each absorption makes it stronger, more versatile." The main display showed a massive structure moving through subspace, its geometry defying conventional physics. What had once appeared as a simple anomaly now revealed itself as something far more terrifying, a vast intelligence composed of consumed civilizations. "Look at these energy signatures," Kexri pointed with a crystalline appendage. They matched the Arcturus Collective's quantum resonance patterns, but the collective vanished 3 centuries ago. "Because the convergence consumed them," Elena finished, "just like it consumed the Zenith Empire, the Helios Confederation, and 9 other advanced civilizations. Each one had mastered a single technological path, making them predictable, making them vulnerable." New data streamed in from the Deep Space Monitoring Network, a joint project combining Imperial quantum sensors with human probability detection arrays. The convergence was accelerating, its massive form shifting between different states of reality as it moved inexorably toward populated space. "Director Kexri, Dr. Santos," a voice called from the command center. "You need to see this." They rushed to the central hub where Admiral Sarah Chen and Imperial High Commander Lizara Vex stood before a tactical display. The image showed something new. Tendrils of exotic energy extending from the convergence, probing ahead of its main mass. "It's scanning us," Lizara realized. "These energy patterns, they're similar to how we analyzed the human fleet during our first encounter." Elena's blood ran cold. "It's trying to understand our defenses, figure out our technological basis. But it's encountering something it's never seen before, integrated technologies working together." The station's sensors recorded the convergence's probes encountering their outer defense network. The massive entity seemed to pause, its structure shifting as it processed this new information. "Look at these reaction patterns," Kexri exclaimed. "It's confused. The defensive grid is switching between different technological approaches faster than it can analyze them." Admiral Chen smiled grimly. "That's the point. Humanity learned to combine technologies because we had to. The Empire perfected individual technologies to their theoretical limits. Together, we're something entirely new." On the tactical display, the convergence's probes withdrew, but the entity itself continued its advance. "It's adapting," Lizara warned. "We've surprised it, but an intelligence that's absorbed 12 advanced civilizations won't stay confused for long." "Then we need to strike first," Chen declared. She activated the station's main communication array, broadcasting to the combined human Imperial fleet gathering in nearby space. "All vessels, battle formation Delta 9. Prepare to execute Operation Synthesis." Across the void, ships of both civilizations moved into position. Imperial dreadnoughts, their quantum cannons charged and ready, aligned with human vessels that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Support ships created overlapping fields of probability distortion, while massive carrier vessels prepared to launch fighters equipped with hybrid technology. The simulation tests were promising, Elena said, reviewing the operation plans. But we've never attempted anything like this in actual combat. No one has, Kexri replied. That's our advantage. The Convergence has never encountered a unified force using multiple technological approaches simultaneously. The tactical display updated, showing the massive entity's approach. It was beautiful in its terrible way, a shifting mass of stolen technologies and absorbed knowledge, each piece a testament to a civilization it had consumed. All ships report ready, Chen announced. Imperial quantum drives are synchronized with human probability engines. Hybrid weapon systems are charged and targeting. Lizara stepped forward, her scales reflecting the emergency lighting. 10,000 years of Imperial history, and we've never faced anything like this. Are we really ready? Elena watched as the combined fleet began its advance, human and Imperial ships moving in perfect coordination. We have to be. The Convergence grows stronger with each civilization it absorbs. If we fail here, there won't be a second chance. The station's sensors detected new energy patterns from the approaching entity. The Convergence had recognized the threat, and for the first time in its ancient existence, it was facing something it couldn't immediately understand or predict. All vessels, Chen's voice carried across the command channel. Execute jump sequence on my mark. Remember your training. Switch technological approaches randomly, but maintain formation coherence. Don't give it time to adapt to any single strategy. As the countdown began, Elena felt a strange mix of fear and hope. Humanity had hidden for centuries, preparing for this moment. The Empire had ruled for millennia, perfecting their chosen technologies. Apart, they might have been consumed like all the others. Together, they were about to attempt something unprecedented, a battle using multiple technological paradigms simultaneously. The Convergence loomed closer, its vast form distorting space itself. But for the first time since it began its consumption of advanced civilizations, it faced an enemy that could match its adaptability. The question was, would the combined might of humanity and the Empire be enough to stop an entity that had already absorbed the knowledge and power of 12 fallen civilizations? Unity forged in stars. The void of space erupted with impossible energies as the combined human Imperial fleet engaged the Convergence. Imperial quantum beams intertwined with human probability weapons, creating patterns of destruction that defied physics itself. The massive entity recoiled, its form shifting as it encountered attacks it couldn't immediately adapt to. Multiple direct hits, Commander Sarah Chen reported from the bridge of the Prometheus. The Convergence is attempting to analyze our weapon signatures, but we're switching faster than it can process. Beside her, Imperial High Commander Lizara Vex watched as their ships executed perfectly synchronized maneuvers. Look at these readings. It's trying to predict our next technological shift, but it can't. It's never encountered an enemy that can change its fundamental approach to physics mid-battle. The Convergence's response was devastating. Tentacles of pure energy lashed out, each one wielding technology stolen from civilizations it had consumed. Arcturus quantum beams, zenith gravity weapons, Helios phase disruptors, a symphony of stolen power. Evasive pattern Omega-3, Chen ordered. All ships, initiate random tech shifts according to the protocol. The human Imperial fleet split into smaller groups, each one constantly switching between different technological bases. When the Convergence would adapt to quantum attacks, they'd switch to probability weapons. When it adjusted to handle those, they'd shift to dark energy manipulation. From the synthesis station, Dr. Elena Santos and Director Kexri coordinated the scientific analysis. The entity's trying to subdivide, Elena reported, splitting its attention to handle multiple technological approaches simultaneously. That's our opening, Kexri realized. It's never had to process this many different attack vectors at once. Look at these stress patterns in its structural matrix. The battle intensified. Imperial dreadnoughts, their weapons enhanced with human probability technology, punched holes in the Convergence's defenses. Human ships, incorporating Imperial quantum stabilizers, maintained coherence while existing in multiple states simultaneously. But the entity was learning, adapting, its vast intelligence processing each attack and developing countermeasures. Ships began to fall, both human and Imperial, their crews making the ultimate sacrifice to buy time. "We need something more," Lizara declared, watching as the Convergence began to coordinate its responses more effectively, a way to overload its ability to adapt. Chen's eyes lit up. The integration protocols. What if we pushed them further? Not just switching between technologies, but using them all simultaneously. The power requirements would be astronomical. Alina cut in over the comm. The feedback could tear our ships apart. "Better than being consumed," Lizara responded. "All Imperial vessels, prepare for full technological integration. Follow the humans' lead." Chen nodded grimly. "All human ships, initiate Protocol Omega. Spool up every system we have. On my mark, we hit it with everything. Not in sequence, but all at once." The combined fleet began to glow with impossible energies. Imperial quantum cores synchronized with human probability engines. Dark energy matrices intertwined with biological computers. Each ship became a testament to what could be achieved when artificial boundaries were ignored. "Energy levels critical," warned the Prometheus's eye. "Hull integrity destabilizing. Hold formation," Chen ordered. "Wait for it to fully commit to an attack." The Convergence seemed to sense the building power. Its massive form consolidated, preparing to unleash the combined might of 12 consumed civilizations in one devastating attack. "Now," Chen and Lizara ordered simultaneously. The void itself seemed to scream as the combined fleet unleashed their attack. Every ship fired every weapon, using every technology simultaneously. Quantum beams phase shifted through probability fields. Dark energy pulses rode quantum tunneling waves. Technologies that should have annihilated each other instead combined into something entirely new. The Convergence's defenses, designed to adapt to single technological approaches, were overwhelmed. It couldn't process the impossible combinations fast enough. Its vast form began to break apart, the knowledge and power of consumed civilizations turning against it as the attack created cascading failures throughout its structure. "Keep firing," Chen ordered as systems redlined across the fleet. "Don't let up." The entity's death throes were spectacular. As its form destabilized, it released the energy of 12 consumed civilizations in a massive quantum probability cascade. The combined fleet, their shields enhanced by overlapping technologies, weathered the storm. When the energy dissipated, the Convergence was gone. In its place floated fragments of technology from the civilizations it had consumed, precious knowledge that could now be studied and preserved rather than used for destruction. Days later, aboard the rebuilt synthesis station, human and Imperial leaders gathered to assess the aftermath and plan for the future. "The threat is gone," Alina reported, "but we've learned something invaluable. The artificial boundaries between technological paths, the belief that different approaches couldn't coexist. They were always just that, artificial. The Empire ruled through technological superiority for 10,000 years, Lizara mused. Yet in combining our knowledge with humanity's adaptability, we've achieved more in weeks than we did in millennia. The real question," Chen added, "is what we do with this knowledge now. The barriers between civilizations, like the barriers between technologies, have been proven false." The answer came in the form of a new initiative, the Synthesis Protocol, a framework for sharing knowledge and technology between all spacefaring civilizations, breaking down the artificial boundaries that had made them vulnerable to threats like the Convergence. As human and Imperial ships began the work of establishing this new order, Chen stood with Lizara watching the crews work together seamlessly. "You know," Lizara said thoughtfully, "when your ships first appeared in our space, we thought you were a threat to everything we'd built." Chen smiled. "Sometimes the greatest threat to progress is the assumption that there's only one path forward. The universe is vast, and so are its possibilities. Together, They watched as the first ships of the new combined fleet began their patrols, carrying the message of unity to the stars. The age of isolation was over. The future would be forged not in the dominance of one approach over others, but in the infinite possibilities that arose when artificial boundaries fell away. The threat that had forced them together was gone, but the unity it had sparked would reshape the galaxy for millennia to come. In the end, the greatest weapon against extinction hadn't been technology at all. It had been the willingness to learn from each other, to adapt, and to grow beyond the limitations of the past.